popular with runners anyway, this area. Runner! Sandman! Show me your life clocks. Curiouser and curiouser. So there you are. So yeah. So the reason why I started to get interested in these climate zones is that I didn't really know how many zones there were. I mean, I can obviously tell that within Poland there are places that some things will grow that others won't grow. But my observations didn't exactly completely comply, because I put them with the plants that I'm interested in, my signature plants, because it isn't really a clear cut-off. It's just an artificial thing. You could divide it anywhere, yeah? But where I made my imaginary divisions was I'd noticed places where certain plants that I'm interested in grew and where they didn't grow. But it wasn't the same as the cut-offs made by the USDA, and of course that's more scientific, so now I'm using their method, and then you can also use it then to predict what plants it's worth buying and what plants it won't be worth buying. So obviously I started to go across to the USDA system instead of the one that I'd had before myself, as my own little system, as it were, and discovered that the only place in Poland that's a 7, which is where I like to be, obviously being in a 7 is better than being in a 6 because then you can buy more plants, is that top corner, very close to Germany, very close to Świnoujście. That's the place in Poland with the least cold weather. I know somebody that lives not far away plays backgammon with me, who lives in the island of Rügen in Germany, and he says that he has tremendous amounts of snow. So obviously I can understand that. If you're not in deep frost, when you get into deep frost, you don't get quite so much snow. Yeah, there's one that won't grow, even though it's broom. That's the old Plantageneta, which gave the Plantagenets their name. Broom or gorse. You don't get much of that in Poland. It's difficult to plant that, for example, in the garden. Some of it grows up in the heathy, mountainous areas, but it's supposed to be pretty hardy, but it just doesn't suit. It doesn't like being moved, and therefore it's not a good plant to plant in the garden and have other plants accompany it, because it doesn't like it very much. Thought that was a London Eye coming up for a minute, but it's that, just London Eye will be further down the Thames, or down. It's the water's flowing, or it's supposed to be flowing in that direction, but as the wind's going that direction, it looks almost as though it's flowing the other way to the way it should be. There's some boat teams. Obviously it's not boat race time now, it's already happened, but there's some boat teams practicing. Nice new development there on that dock. So I started to take an interest in those hardiness zones, just basically to get an idea where I could retire to, because I would like to retire one day from my labours. And I wasn't thinking of doing so anytime soon. I can assure you, I don't think I actually would like to work for longer than the time stated by law. I would like to work until I'm more than 70. But still, I've got to think in terms of where I put my family when finally I do get old enough, or too old to work. Because at the end of the day, I've been the only one working, and then when we don't have the incomes anymore, we've got to live somewhere which is a bit cheaper than Warsaw. And I'm happy to say that in the place I first started to look at, which is, I thought, well, the southwest corner would be the best, because that's bound to be the warmest, but it's not actually. And the reason would become clear if you look at a European map of hardiness zones. There's this cold 5 belt which actually comes up through Austria and the Alps, and it comes up into the Czech Republic, just south west of Prague, round the back of Prague, almost hitting or touching, well, it does touch Poland. It goes as well into Poland for just a few miles, so Poland actually has a whole range of climate zones, but most of the time they're on 6 and just a little bit of 5 and just a little bit of 7. There's also 5 up at the top end by Białystok, but the only place with 7 is just this bit up by Szczecin, and in the main it's 6A and 6B. Well, 6 is a broad spectrum of things that you can plant, but it's still nothing like what you can add in and be sure will grow once you get into 7, just as that's nothing like 8. So if you're in 8, you can just about plant what you like. There's a few things that you can then add in if you're in 9, which are things that I tend to notice. But basically I thought I'd rather be in 7 than in 6, just if I want to have a nice garden for, because I thought, well, with my kids, they usually like to have a place to run around. I'd like to have a place which is cheaper so that the carers won't want to earn so much as they do in Warsaw, and to have enough space so there can be a nice big garden for them with lots of different plants that I haven't been able to cultivate in Warsaw, and I'm annoyed about it because I've got an ambition to be able to cultivate them. And to put all that together, I need probably to be in the best climatic zone that I can find within Poland. Well, being over there by the German border gives you the advantage of being, well, you've got Szczecin for any big town needs that you want. It's still in Poland. The big advantage is I'm still in Poland, so I've been paying into Poland all my life. Why would I stop? Why would I leave Poland? It's better to be in Poland than somewhere else, I suppose. I feel at home there. But it's close to Germany as well, so that things that you might want to have from Germany, you just pop across the border and get them. So it's a good place to be, I think. And then it's not far from the sea, which is also healthy. You get iodine and whatnot. And what else is good about it? Well, at first I was looking at the southwest, like I say, the southwest rather than the northwest. And the southwest had Jelenia Góra. That had to offer, of course, it's close to the Czech Republic. And being someone learning Czech and everything, I thought it would be nice to retire in a place where it's close to the Czech border and going over there easily. But once you get into somewhere like Szczecin, you can pop over onto the German side. You've got motorways down to Prague, practically down to the Czech Republic on the German side that just take you down there quickly. So anyway, it's not a massive hike to go to those other places either, even though you're in the northern part of Poland. So and you've got from either of those locations. I looked at Jelenia Góra. I mean, the only reason why not Jelenia Góra is, well, Jelenia Góra's nicer in some respects because you've got the mountains, but do you want to be having mountains when you're old? I'd rather go for somewhere which has got the best climate, which has got the best ability to select plants, and which is flat, but has access to the sea for a bit. You can go on the sea and have some nice opportunities to use the sea for relaxation. And so I thought, well, at the moment I'm looking to retire to the Szczecin area, but for those of you who are from the Szczecin area, I know that at least one of my regular viewers is from Świnoujście actually. He might be saying, oh yeah, sure, come along, come over, come now. Or maybe saying, oh shit, he's coming, I'm getting out of here. I don't know. But the fact is, it's not going to be for another probably 20 odd years. But knowing about it gives you some direction. Already having a plan gives you some direction. It gives you something you can save up for and work towards. And at the moment, if I were to sell what I had and use the money to buy a property there. I would buy already with the equity on what I have in Warsaw. I would buy a better property there. So everything else is really saving for a retirement fund. Everything else I'm putting into paying off mortgages or buying other properties in Warsaw that might, in my opinion, appreciate in value sooner than in rural Poland, is all, in each case, it's an opportunity to make, when you finally sell that, a retirement fund. Another option is that I just stay put where I am, because obviously where I live is a great place to grow old in, and nobody's going to push me out of it. So I could stay where I am. But if I need more space, you see, outside space for the garden and everything, for the kids to mess around, for them to have more, depends on how rowdy old George is going to be, because it's really about him, I think. And if he needs places to run around and let off all his steam, and maybe have his own little house, and for them all to have their own little chalet area or their own little separate wing, with their carers as well being able to be housed in it all, then something a bit bigger would be necessary. And the properties in the areas that I'm talking about, which are big enough to do all of that, and are in a reasonably good state of repair as well, as far as I can tell from the photos, those things would cost the same. I mean, I could buy it now by cashing in my property, but I'd still have to transfer the loan across, rather than it being just off the equity, which would get me something still better than I've got now, but not as good as what I'm really thinking of. So these are all things to be monitoring. I've now got a situation which I'd say, well, okay, this is satisfactory, this is a very satisfactory plan, but I need to monitor it, see if it's getting better, see if it's getting worse, and then make savings, put money aside, pay off this property, maybe in the meantime invest in something else, and be sure that when I am 70 and want to retire, that I've got enough to see us all through for an indefinite period afterwards. And that's tricky. That's a tricky thing, because money's always tight, yeah, with a big family. But have to see how I get on with that. It's all on my shoulders anyway. Nobody else is going to be able to work. Possibly if Sophie pulls her finger out and does something and ends up being qualified at university in something useful and actually makes money, she can also make money for herself and at least be independent from me, but I don't expect her to have to foot the bill for her brother and sister, so that's just going to be her off the books, as it were, hopefully. Still got to worry about two autistic children and a wife with multiple sclerosis going forward, so that's always something worth planning for. And obviously that all goes back to me looking after my health. That's what the intermittent fasting's for. I'm not fasting today. That's what the walking's for. I am walking obviously today, and I've got my pedometer around my neck, and it's showing at the moment 3.5, but that's only the beginning. My target for today, well, hopefully at least 7.7 kilometres. I haven't been doing that much walking over the last few days, so 7.7 kilometres is the minimum that I want to do today, and obviously the more I can do, the better in the time until 5 o'clock when I have to be back there. Now it's 2:15, isn't it? So 2:25 rather, and I hit the bridge there, it's almost disappearing over there. That's interesting, that Furniture Harrods Depository. I didn't really look at that going past it, but it's also interesting, isn't it? Harrods Furniture Depository. Great. I'll save the rest of this battery for later.